come to your mat and just take a moment. Notice how you feel. Maybe open the chest a little bit by interlacing the hands behind the back. Take a couple twists, interlace the fingers over the head, find a nice big stretch, and then we'll come into child's pose. Just settling in for a couple moments, noticing the breath, noticing the body rise and fall with each inhalation and exhalation. And maybe noticing kind of a gentle opening in the hips, as well as that stretch from the hip crease all the way up to the fingertips on both sides. You might tent the palms a little bit, move left to right. You might tap into your Ujjayi breath by finding a slight constriction in the back of the throat. As you settle into your breath, maybe start to bend the elbows a little bit, stretch the backs of the arms through the triceps, and then lengthen the fingertips toward the top of the mat. Find your breath. Notice the belly, the rib cage, the chest, the lungs expand with each inhalation and fall with every exhalation. Maybe move the head left to right, kind of giving your forehead a little bit of a massage. As you just start to drop into the breath, notice how you feel. Of course, let go of the day thus far. Crawl the hands over to the left, finding a nice big stretch on the right. Maybe place the right palm on top of the left. And then notice a stretch through the right side, underneath the arm, through the armpit, maybe all the way up through the bicep. Press into the palms, walk the hands to the other side, all the way over to the right, just as far as it feels comfortable for you. Pressing the left hip down toward your left heel. Notice the big stretch that you are able to feel on the left side. Keeping the neck nice and long. Inhale, come back to center. Start to roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming into tabletop, bringing the knees right under the hips, aligning the palms underneath the shoulders. Pull the belly button in toward the spine, and on an inhale, drop the belly, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine, chin to chest, cat pose. Move through a few more cat-cows, inhaling through cow pose, exhaling through cat pose. Always feel free to veer off the railroad tracks. You can move through cat-cow, or you can even just find a sway from right to left, opening up through the sides of the body, stretching the hips, and maybe finding some circles and some natural movement, clockwise, counterclockwise, just kind of rotating the wrists, and then maybe returning to a cat-cow. Realign into table pose, and then press through your left palm, floating the right arm up toward the ceiling, opening up the chest, and then thread the needle, send that right hand underneath the left armpit, allowing that right shoulder to come to the earth. And you can extend your left fingertips up toward the top of the mat to maximize the stretch, or you can send the left hand behind the back, finding a bind, a half bind, just whatever feels comfortable here. Noticing that nice big stretch. Float the right palm back up toward the ceiling. And then place the right hand on the ground, grounding through that right palm. Float the left arm up into the air, opening up through the chest, and then thread the needle. Send that left arm underneath the right armpit. Then allow that stretch through the left shoulder. Maybe sending the right fingertips up toward the top of the mat, or even finding that half bind on the right side. Send the left arm back up toward the ceiling. Coming back into table, reposition your alignment, knees under hips. And then start to send the fingertips up toward the top of the mat, dropping the chest down into puppy pose. Opening the heart, opening the chest, maybe bringing the chin or the forehead to the earth. And then sending the tailbone to extend up toward the ceiling, finding this nice bend in the thoracic spine. Really opening through the heart and the chest. Find your breath. Notice the belly expanding on every inhale. On an exhale, you can start to roll it back up, coming back into table. Just preparing for a little core activation. Tuck the toes under. Make sure those knees are just underneath the hips, palms underneath the shoulders. Pull that belly button in toward the spine, and then lift the knees off of your yoga mat. Just a few inches, maybe 1 to 3 inches, just enough to really feel that belly start to build some heat. Feel the muscles of the abdominal wall kind of knit together and build some heat through the abdomen. When you're ready, you can start to lift the hips, lift the tailbone up toward the ceiling. Press into all 10 fingerprints. Allow the shoulders to melt away from the ears. Bend the left knee, bend the right knee. Just pedal it out. Coming into your first downward facing dog of the practice. You never have to straighten your knees. You never have to straighten your elbows. Just pull the belly button in toward the spine. Allow the heart to extend toward the shins. Create a nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head. Just relax the head, neck. Maybe shake the head, no. Nod the head, yes. And find your breath. Maybe come up onto the toes, warming up the feet. I like to consider downward dog our home base. Can always come back to this. When you're ready, look up toward the top of the mat and bend the knees generously. Take a nice slow walk all the way up to the top of your mat, finding yourself in Uttanasana, forward fold. Exhale, relax the head, neck, and shoulders down. Maybe grab the elbows with your palms and just rock side to side. Noticing your breath, noticing how you feel. Drop the fingertips back down toward the earth, forward fold, Uttanasana. On an inhale, feel your feet ground into the earth and start to roll it up nice and slow. Aligning the knees over the ankles, hips over the knees, shoulders over the hips. Inhale, send the arms left to right. And bring the arms up over the head, high mountain pose. Extending into a back bend, tightening the glutes to protect the lower back. And then on an exhale, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, forward fold, Uttanasana. flat back, bringing those palms up to the thighs. Inhale, extend the crown of the head forward, and then exhale, find your forward fold back into Uttanasana. Step it back into plank, spiking the heels toward the back of the space, bringing the palms underneath the shoulders, tightening through the glutes, finding that nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head. We're going to bring the knees down to the earth, coming into a half plank on an exhale. And then bending the elbows, framing the rib cage with the elbows, bring the chest and then the chin toward the earth, coming into a baby cobra. Tightening through the glutes, through the quadriceps. Bring the arches of the feet together. And then lift the heart, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then taking the weight off of your hands. Notice your breath. Inhale, coming back into a half plank and into a very brief child pose just to retrograde the movement. Find a counter stretch here. We're going to find ourselves back into downward facing dog, pressing into the palms. And then sending those hips up and back to downward facing dog, maybe pedaling it out, finding your breath. Allow the shoulder blades to slide down the back, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, pressing into all 10 fingerprints. Ground that left foot into the earth. Float the right leg up behind you. Three-legged dog, pressing into all 10 fingerprints evenly. Open up the hip, bend that right knee, maybe drawing some circles with the right knee one way, and then the other way, maybe rotating the ankle a little bit, just really opening up through the hip. And then come back into that three-legged dog, flexing through the right toes, squaring off the hips. And then send that right knee up toward the chest, stepping up into a lunge, dropping that left knee down, coming into a low lunge, finding your breath, finding a nice big stretch in that left hip flexor, allowing the right knee to align over the right ankle. And then on a big deep breath, sending those fingertips to extend up toward the ceiling, finding your breath, squaring off the hips, keeping a nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head. Stay where you are in your lunge and cross that right arm under the left, coming into an eagle wrap. You can always just give yourselves a hug if the eagle wrap doesn't serve you, so just allowing the palms to come to opposite shoulders, or you can wrap that right arm underneath the left arm and come into a full wrap. Notice that compression that you feel, and then unravel the arms, and let's come into a nice big twist, sending the left arm toward the top of your mat, the right arm toward the back of your mat, opening up the chest, just coming into this nice big twist. On an exhale, go ahead and plant the palms to frame that right foot and start to walk it back into the half split. You can keep the knee bent as long as that feels good. You never have to straighten or lock the knees. We just want to find a nice stretch in the backs of the legs. So keep the palms underneath the shoulders, maybe around the spine on an exhale. And then inhale, find a flat back. Inhale, come forward, tuck the left toes under, come to a lunge, and start to walk the palms forward, coming into a modified warrior 3. You can keep the fingertips on the earth if that feels good, or if you feel a lot of stability here, pressing into that right foot, feel free to bring the hands to heart center or even find airplane arms. Wherever you're at, find your next exhale to drop that left foot down and come back into Uttanasana, forward fold. On an inhale, start to roll it up, sending the arms left to right, allowing the fingertips to extend toward the ceiling, finding a slight back bend, and then on an exhale, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, come all the way back down to Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold it back down to Uttanasana. Step it back to plank. This time, yogi's choice, you can either drop the knees coming into half plank, or you can stay in full plank, and as you bend the elbows coming into chaturanga, framing the rib cage with the elbows, come to the tops of the feet and then press into your upward facing dog, opening the heart. Finding your breath, inhaling through upward facing dog, exhaling, coming into downward facing dog, lifting the hips, pedaling it out, finding your breath. This time you'll float the left leg up behind you into three-legged dog, bending that left knee, and then finding some circles with that left knee, pressing into all 10 fingerprints. Drawing circles one way and then the other, maybe rotating the ankle. And then on an inhale, sending that left leg back into three-legged dog, squaring off the hips, flexing through the left toes. Start to bend that left knee toward the chest, step it up between the hands, finding your lunge. On the other side, bringing that left knee over the left ankle, finding that nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head. Drop that right knee this time. Send those arms up and overhead, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Finding your breath. We're going to once again find that eagle wrap. This time you'll bring the left arm underneath the right arm, either crossing it all the way around that right wrist or coming to bring the palms on opposite shoulders. Yogi's choice, whatever feels best. Breathe into that compression. Feel the back opening up. And then when you're ready, we're going to find that twist on the other side, sending the right arm toward the top of the mat, the left arm toward the back of the mat, opening up the chest, finding that nice big twist. Noticing that that left knee stays over the left ankle. On an exhale, let's bring ourselves back into that half split, walking the palms back. Keep a slight bend in the knee. Just want to feel a nice stretch in the hamstring. And an exhale, fold over that left leg. On an inhale, you can come to your flat back. Go ahead and walk the palms forward. Tuck those right toes under, coming into a full lunge. And then pressing into that left foot, let's find that modified warrior 3. You can keep those palms extended toward the earth, or you can find airplane arms or come to hands, heart center, whatever works. And then go ahead and drop that right foot to meet the left foot, forward fold, Uttanasana. Roll it up, spread the arms left to right. Take a nice deep breath, bring the arms over the head, find a slight back bend. And then exhale, forward fold, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold. Step it back to plank and move through your vinyasa however you would like. Yogi's choice, belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog. You can even come to tabletop and come into a child's pose for a moment, just to find your breath. And then when you're ready, we'll all meet in downward facing dog, finding our breath, pedaling it out. Just noticing how you feel, pressing into all 10 fingerprints, allowing the shoulder blades to slide down the back, finding that nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head. Float float that right leg up behind you, three-legged dog, bending into the right knee. Send the right knee toward the right tricep. Inhale, three-legged dog, floating that right leg behind you. Exhale, bend the right knee, send the right knee to the left tricep. And then extend that right foot forward. We're going to come into fallen triangle, so extend that left arm up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, bring that left arm back down underneath the left shoulder, and then lift that right knee back up toward the chest. Go ahead and step it up, finding that lunge. Finding your breath, bringing that right knee to a line just over the right ankle. Inhale, float that right arm up over the head, finding a nice big twist, opening the chest, noticing the rib cage expand on your inhale, and then press into that left palm, come into a high lunge twist. Maybe bending into that left knee a little bit to try to square off the hips, extending the left fingertips toward the top of the mat, right fingertips toward the back of the mat. Find your breath. And your next inhale, send that left arm up toward the ceiling, coming into this revolved twist, finding your breath, making sure that right knee stays tracked over that right ankle. And just finding your breath, keeping the back of the neck nice and long. On an exhale, let's pivot into Warrior Two, opening up the chest, bending into that right knee, allowing the arch of the left foot to align with the heel of the right foot. Hi, Elvis. Opening up the chest, opening up the hips. Let's straighten through that right knee, and then extending the right fingertips forward, coming into triangle pose, saying goodbye to Elvis. Opening up through that rib cage. See if you can imagine you're pulling that right rib cage forward to really help open up that front part of the body. Grounding into all 4 points of the feet. Extending the right fingertips toward the ground while you extend the left fingertips up toward the ceiling. You can always find a half bind here if that feels good, just to send some love to the shoulder. And then you can play with extending the right fingertips up toward the top of the mat. On an inhale, let's start to come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, bending into that right knee, bringing the right fingertips onto the earth. And then just playing with lifting that left foot off the ground, sending the left fingertips up toward the ceiling. Keep the back of the neck nice and long. Find a focal point. And don't worry if you fall. It's just yoga. I'm pretty wobbly here myself. If you want to bend into the left knee, grabbing that left foot, you can play with finding a little bit of a back bend here. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves back into Warrior Two, flipping that right palm, finding reverse warrior, bending into that right knee, and then on an exhale, you're just going to cartwheel the arms. Find yourselves back into that lunge. Step the right foot back into plank and move through your flow. Belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog. Yogi's choice. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, pedaling it out, coming back into our breath, just noticing how you feel. Slide those shoulder blades down the back, ground into that right foot, float the left foot up behind you, three-legged dog, bending into that left knee, send the left knee to the left tricep. Inhale into three-legged dog, pressing all 10 fingerprints into the earth, bend that left knee, send the left knee to the right tricep, extending that left foot out in front of you, coming into fallen triangle, aligning the shoulders, aligning the hips, pulling that belly button in toward the spine, knitting the rib cage together. And then when you're ready, start to bend into that left knee, sending the left knee toward the chest, coming back into your plank, and then stepping it up into your lunge. Left knee over left ankle. On an inhale, let's send that left arm up toward the ceiling, extending the fingertips, stacking the shoulders, finding a nice big twist, finding your breath. On an inhale, let's pick that right arm up off the ground, coming into your twist, your lunge twist, making sure that left knee is stacked right above the left ankle, finding your breath, extending that left arm behind you, right arm forward, and then sending the right fingertips up toward the ceiling. Left hand can rest on the right leg, on the back of the thigh, on the hamstring, finding your breath, pressing into all 4 points of that right foot. Start to pivot into your warrior two, inhaling, opening the chest, opening up the hip, allowing that heel of the left foot to align perfectly into the arch of the right foot, gazing out over the left fingertips. Straighten through that left knee, send those left fingertips forward, bump the right hip back, coming into triangle pose, sending the left fingertips to extend down toward the earth while the right fingertips extend up toward the ceiling, stacking the shoulders, spiraling that left rib cage forward to really open up the front body, pressing into all 4 points of the feet. You might want to find a half bind here. Yogi's choice. You might want to extend the left fingertips up toward the top of the mat. Just find whatever feels good for you, and when you're ready, start to bend into the left knee, bringing the left fingertips to the earth, and maybe finding your half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana, lifting through that right foot and extending the right fingertips up toward the ceiling, finding a focal point, finding length in the back of the neck. You might try bending into that right foot to see if you can find a little bit of a back bend there. You might be wobbly like I am. You might fall. No big deal. This is like playtime for adults here. So if you fall, it's totally fine. Let's come back into warrior two. Inhale, send that left arm up overhead into reverse warrior. Finding a nice big deep breath. Expanding the rib cage on your inhale, and then on your exhale, let's cartwheel the arms, coming all the way back down to your lunge, stepping it back into your plank, and moving through a vinyasa of your choice. Belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog, table to child's pose, whatever you are feeling like you need to do in your practice. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, finding our breath. Ground into that left foot, press into all 10 fingerprints, float that right foot up behind you, three-legged dog. Bend the right knee, send the right knee toward the chest, and then step it up into your lunge. Leaning forward, finding airplane arms. Find lightning bolt, extending the crown of the head forward, keeping that nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head. Keeping the right knee over the ankle. Find your breath. When you're ready, we're going to press into all 4 points of that right foot. Lift through that left side body, flexing through the left toes, coming into warrior 3, picking that left foot up off the ground, flexing the foot, flexing. And then when you're ready, start to bend into the left knee, bend the right knee. We're going to find ourselves coming straight into chair pose. So allowing the left foot to meet the right foot, and then extending those arms either up over the head or straight out in front of us, just making sure that the shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. Pressing into all 4 points of the feet, making sure you can wiggle your toes. Extend those fingertips up toward where the wall would meet the ceiling. And then on an inhale, cross that right arm under the left arm, finding eagle wrap. And then grounding into the left foot, pick the right leg up, crossing the right leg over the left, and then allowing either the right toes to find a kickstand next to the outside of the left foot, or you can wrap that right foot all the way around the back of that left ankle. Now bending the knees, finding that compression, you're going to find your knees coming slightly over to the left while your elbows come slightly to the right, and then sit way back, finding your breath. When you're ready, you can start to unravel, coming back into chair pose, finding your breath. When you're ready, you're going to come into Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. And then exhale, fold. Go ahead and step it back into plank and move through your flow, belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog, table to child's pose. Whatever you choose, we'll all meet in downward facing dog. And then grounding through that right foot, pick the left foot up behind you this time, coming into three-legged dog. Flexing through those left toes, bend the left knee, send the left knee toward the chest, step it up into your lunge. Start to come into airplane arms, extending the crown of the head to where the wall meets the ceiling. Make sure that your left knee is aligned directly over that left ankle. Find your breath. Find that nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head. And then when you're ready, start to ground into that left foot. We're going to come into warrior 3, picking that right foot up behind you, flexing through the right toes, finding an inward rotation of the upper inner right thigh to square off the hips. You can either bring your hands into our airplane arms, or you can bring your hands to heart center, yogi's choice. We'll bend into that right knee, coming into our chair pose once again, bending generously into the knees, keeping those knees behind the ankles. Inhaling the arms either up over the head, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. You can also extend the hands just directly in front of you, whatever feels best. Yogi's choice. When you're ready, we're going to find eagle wrap on the left. So you'll wrap that left arm underneath the right arm. Hi, Elvis. And then you'll ground into that right foot, pick up the left leg, crossing it over the right, and then either wrap that left foot around the right calf, or you can just kickstand the left toes on the outside of the right foot. Elvis is pretty interested in this eagle pose, as you can see. So find that compression. Move those elbows down toward the knee. When you're ready, on an inhale, let's unravel. Coming back into our chair pose, finding our breath. Find a little bit of length on an inhale, and then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Go ahead and step it back to plank. Move through your flow, belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, finding our breath. Coming up onto the toes, maybe bending the knees. Coming back into your plank pose, spiking those heels back behind you. We're going to come into side plank, so grounding into the right palm. Send the left fingertips up toward the ceiling. You can either stack the feet, or you can keep that left foot in front of the right foot, yogi's choice, or you can even bring the left foot up into the air, extending that left arm over the head. We'll come back into the plank. Find your breath, pull that belly button in toward the spine, and we'll find a side plank on the other side, this time grounding into the left palm, sending the right fingertips up toward the ceiling. You can always drop that left knee down to the earth, or you can stagger the left foot behind the right foot, or you can stack the feet, yogi's choice. When you're ready, let's come back into the plank pose, pulling that belly button in toward the spine, stacking the shoulders over the palms, spiking the heels behind us, tightening through the glutes, tightening through the quads. And when you're ready, lift the hips, find downward facing dog, finding your breath, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Bring those big toes to touch. Bring the knees as wide as the yoga mat. Let's set back into child's pose. We're going to start to cool it down here. Maybe bringing the forehead to the earth. Maybe bending the elbows, finding a nice big stretch in the backs of the arms. Feeling that slight opening in the hips. And just noticing your breath. Take a few moments to see if you feel different now than you did at the very beginning of this class. When you're ready, let's inhale, roll it up into a seat. And then we'll cross the ankles behind us, coming into Paschimottanasana. Forward fold. Send those arms up overhead. And then bend the knees. Fold over the legs, bending at the hips. Finding a nice big stretch in the lower back. And also, hopefully, in those hamstrings. Find your breath. When you're ready, you can start to very slowly, on an inhale, roll it back up to a seat. Maybe roll the shoulders back, bend the knees, and scoot up to sit in the middle of the mat. And nice and easy, go ahead and lay back. Bend into the left knee, cross the right ankle over that left thigh, and then interlace the fingers behind the left thigh, coming into figure 4, just opening up through that hip. Finding your breath, maybe pressing on the right knee to open up that stretch a little bit more. Flexing through the toes. Notice if your tailbone is grounded into the earth. Notice if the head, neck, and shoulders are nice and relaxed. Go ahead and switch sides, bending the right knee, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, and then interlacing the fingers behind that right thigh, grounding the tailbone into the earth, flexing through the feet, and opening up those hips, keeping the back of the neck nice and long, just finding your breath, noticing how you feel, noticing that big stretch in the hips. Go ahead and come out of that figure four, bringing the knees into the chest, giving yourselves a nice big hug, grounding that tailbone into the earth, feeling the entire spine ground into your yoga mat, maybe pointing and flexing the feet, finding your breath, grabbing those knees with your palms. Just maybe move the knees front and back, shake the head side to side. And then if you feel like it, you don't have to. You can either go straight into Shavasana or you can come into this happy baby, grabbing the outsides of the feet and bending the knees towards the armpits, allowing the tailbone to ground into the earth. And just feeling that nice big hip opening. Finding your breath. When you're ready, you can come out of your happy baby and start to prepare yourself for Shavasana, final resting pose. So bringing your right heel toward the right corner of the mat, the left heel toward the left corner of the mat. Really try to take up some space here, bringing the arms to the sides, and then just inviting some intentional relaxation into the body. Notice the space between your eyebrows, the jaw. Notice your shoulders, your hips, your knees, and your ankles. Hello again, Elvis. You can always close your eyes during Shavasana if you want to. It's not required. It's just a time that allows you to settle into your breath. Start to deepen the inhalations and exhalations. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers, maybe rotate the wrists, rotate the ankles. Send the arms up overhead, maybe find a nice big stretch. Bend the knees, give yourselves a big hug. And then you can allow your knees to fall to either side, doesn't matter which side. Stack your hips, stack your knees. You can press into the palm of your top hand and come into a comfortable seat of your choice. Finding your breath, noticing how you feel, fixing your hair. Let's take one more big deep breath together, spreading the arms left to right, extending the arms up overhead, bringing the palms to touch, and then hands heart center. Thank you for practicing with me today. Enjoy the rest of your day.